Hi, John. Right, I think we're live.
Okay, good evening, members. Before we move to the two Finance Committee meetings tonight, I have the pleasure of welcoming Siobhan Matthews to us this evening. Obviously, we have the by-election Thursday, the 23rd of July, and Siobhan was successful in being elected as the new councillor for the North Ward. So, Siobhan, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
But now we get down to business and the process end of tonight. So what I need you to do is come up to the front, and I will be asking you to complete your declaration of acceptance of office and to make sure that it's all done. It will be on camera and you'll be reading it out, and then after that you just sign it, and then you are a fully fledged councillor and have done it.
Right, just about.
Speak.
Okay, are we ready? Okay. I, Siobhan Matthews, have been elected to the office of councillor for Sandwich Town Council. I declare that I take that office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability. I undertake to observe the code as to the conduct which is expected of members of the Sandwich Town Council. As per Schedule 12 of the Local Government Act 1972, I consent to receive all council meetings by electronic methods. I understand I may withdraw this consent at any time.
And that's it. Thank you very much. Do you now need to sign?
Okay,
Thank you very much. Congratulations.
thank you.
Oh, sorry, you want to know? No, I'm sorry. One last one. There we go.
So thank you, Siobhan, and please stay if you want. We don't need to be a member of these committees, but can I just welcome you and wish you all the best, and you know, it's going to be great to have you on board.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you. Dean, do you want to just take
Check them
Oh,
all.
yeah.
Check those.
Thank you. Good to you, Peter.
Okay, well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to this meeting of Sandwich Town Council's Finance and General Purposes Committee on Wednesday, the 29th of July. And the first item on the agenda is apologies for absences received at Town Clerk.
I have apologies from Councillor Ungerson, who has personal equipment, and Councillor P. Carter, who has a work commitment.
Thank you.
Yes, Councillor Moore.
I have to leave at 7:10.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. We'll try and get through as much as we can by then. Thank you. Declarations of interest. Are there any disclosable pecuniary interests or other significant interests that councillors would like to disclose in respect of items on the agenda tonight? I'll take that as none. Thank you. The third item on the agenda then is the minutes of the previous finance and general purpose meeting, which was held on the 24th of June. My thanks to Councillor Chuka for chairing that meeting in my absence. Are there any comments? If not, then would somebody like to propose them? Councillor Pennington. Seconded by Councillor Wiles. Everybody in favour? I shall abstain because I wasn't here. So there are 2 abstentions. And it's passed, and Councillor Chuka, if you'd be kind enough to sign the minutes. The next item is public participation. Have we had any requests for public participation? No, great. Thank you. And so we move on to agenda item 5, to receive and approve the Sandwich Town Council payment schedule for the end of June 26. You should have this document, which amounts to £2,734 gross. Has anybody got any comments on this? Okay, anybody willing to propose it then? Or shall we do them all in block at the end? Let's do them all in block, shall we? The second item B, 5B, is to approve the bank account reconciliation statement. Does anybody have any comments on this document? Okay, thank you. And the third document is attachment 5C, the financial statement cash book. Does anybody have any comments on this document? Okay. And so, turning over the page, 5D, the budget variance report to the end of June. Does anybody have any comments on this document? Okay. All right, is anybody willing to propose all of these documents? Councillor Chuka, seconded by Councillor Moorhouse, and unanimously approved. All right, thank you. The next item is to review the action log. So can we just work down the ongoing actions? The first one is the certification, which Julian, I know, is a rolling feast. So you're continuously monitoring that, and we can look at that in due course. The next item is about the health and safety at work, and I'm pleased to see that all staff have completed their first aid training. In terms of the safe place of work, again, this is an ongoing list in terms of making sure that people have got the right desk set up and stuff like that, and that's all encompassed in the above, is it?
I haven't done that, whether the town clerk hasn't. As far as people seeking positions and
I
requirements
have
on that.
not done that. Yeah, I have a specific risk assessment for a specific number of staff on at the moment.
Okay, so can we just add that to the action list to make sure, because I know there've been some movements in offices
Yes.
and so forth, but everybody, I can't remember the official term for it, having the
DSE.
right display,
Yes.
DSE.
Yeah, displays screen.
Okay, thank you. The next item is to do with the local government reorganisation, and we received a holding email on the end of June, but there is a few years of work ahead on that.
Some years.
Okay, thank you. The next item is the asset register, and we need to prepare a detailed asset register for insurance purposes, and that's going to go to the September meeting, is my understanding. So we're on stream for that. That will be the next meeting.
Asset register, I've done an asset review, an asset register as far, what sort of content would that be?
That was in respect of insurance. We had to provide a detailed insurance asset register.
We were talking about this in the office. I think we need to come to the committee in September with a clear assessment of what we need to do before we even start doing it, because there's insurance issues and there's also asset register issues. So, yeah.
John, right, sorry.
Can I just add to that? There's two aspects to this. It's the insurance renewal, which is next March, where we have to start getting a full schedule of everything we have to the value, and then there's the other side of things, which is actually just literally a register of everything we own. So if we've got lots of things that have no value whatsoever, and we're doing the roof and we're getting rid of them, then we remove them from the list. But just basically something that shows a list of what we have, and then something which shows the value of what we have. That twofold. I think that's the actual verification of the assets, from the size of buildings down to the size of computers. will probably be between ourselves that will have to go through and do that on a different side.
I believe so, yeah. I mean, obviously, the value of the properties, probably a huge lot of difference between what the book price is and what the reality is.
Yeah, I understand that,
Yeah.
but I think we need to be clear for insurance purposes because there are a number of valuables around,
Yes.
as you can see here. And it's not just a question of listing them.
No.
I may need to get somebody in to
Certainly.
value them and so forth to
Yeah.
comply with the insurance requirements. And if it's next March, it's only 6 months away, and I feel there's probably quite a bit of work to do.
We've spoken to the
get that.
insurance company about that already because they actually have agents who can do it, or we can appoint our own, who will actually deal with obviously the high value items and the mens regalia and that side of things where they are of a specialist nature and have a specialist value. And obviously there's not a huge number of items like that within the council, but they are ones which will have to be valued separately.
Okay, well, as long as we're all got a clear understanding, especially to meet the insurance requirements and we're progressing towards it.
Yes, the issue we have is that revaluing the very high ticket items is going to cost quite a lot in itself. So we're going to have to build it into budget for next year.
Okay, but then if the insurance would want it by March, it's not going to be in the budget for next year.
We'll have to come to.
We need to understand the
Yeah,
extent of
exactly.
the problem.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've got the next two items are covered by reports that are on the agenda today, and the final two items on the action list are kind of closed out. Okay. Any further comments on the action list? Anybody happy to propose? Councillor Morehouse is reaching. And Councillor Chuka seconded. Everybody's voted in favour. Thank you very much. Okay, the next item is a review of the financial regulations. The background to this was at the annual meeting, we were presented with a new set of financial regulations which incorporated some changes. I've done a trawl through this and we've got a number of changes highlighted in the report. So I suggest we just go through each change and make sure everybody understands the change and if we're happy with it. So the first item was the previous financial regulations were modelled on the NALC and there was a load of introductory notes. So you will see those have been deleted. And then on page 3, you can see the revised index for the notes. The first change comes on page 5 under 2.6, where, and this is to do with at least once in each quarter, a member other than the chair shall be appointed to verify bank reconciliations. And it's been included that as part of that process, they should also verify invoices. Now, I don't know if anybody's got any thoughts about that, but that's a huge job. That's not normally associated by the NALC model. That's now been imposed on the councillor who does that check. So is everybody happy that the review should be to go through each and every invoice and verify
I
it?
don't think every invoice needs to be said verify invoices. It doesn't say every invoice.
No.
Just, I think a spot check is more than adequate
Well, it
because of the clerk is now verifying the invoices when they do payments.
John,
I think, I could be wrong, but I think it may be yourself that actually raised at one stage that you think that someone should be reviewing the invoices as part of the internal process. And it was spoken about at the end of the year. I just thought that it would make more sense, or the suggestion is it makes more sense to do it more of an interim basis because it is just a visual check on what is being paid out. Those items are already being reviewed by numerous people already, not least the town clerk who doesn't do the payments will review the invoices as part of their procedure. And also when the payments, when the invoices are being paid, they are reviewed by the people, by two members, by two councillors who are actually making the payments. And if they have any questions or uncertainties about any of the items being paid, they do query it and ask what that's being paid for and why it's being paid. So there are processes in place. It's just whether or not you want this to be brought forward whereby there is a physical check of invoices as you go, in addition to what is already the internal and external audit taking place. So it's a decision to be taken, but it's only there because it was suggested. And
That's a really good, brings it to the point that whoever's instigated the works has approved the invoice. The town clerk has approved the invoice. We as a committee have approved the invoices. The two councillors who are making the payment run have approved the invoices. I don't really see the need for another verification along the way.
Yeah. So what I would say is when we do the payments online, we're not approving invoices. What our role is if we've got any questions, queries about invoices, we'll contact the IFO. So it's very much pinpoints. It's not so we may have 30 or 40 invoices within a payment run. I do not come in and look at those 30 or 40 invoices, but I might flag up some issues that I then check with the finance officer before I approve it.
the town clerk very much is checking the individual invoice, which is something that we brought in
Couple months ago.
since the start of the year. And so that's a thorough process, and so she's common sense checking and making sure that we're paying the people that we say we're paying, and it's expenditure that she's expecting as well.
Well, I don't see any benefit in burdening the councillor with that task. Okay. Are we all agreed on that?
You can't change standing orders in financial reports. It needs to be done.
Yeah, no, understand, but I'm suggesting that we should update the financial regs now and bring them to full council. Unless anybody else is objecting. The next change was on 3.8. The council shall ensure about the internal auditor. The new words are maybe a little bit clumsy and perhaps need reviewing, because as a bullet point is that the internal auditor and then the internal auditor is repeated. And I think it should potentially benefit from to take any necessary actions arising to be on track for the external audit at the end of the financial year. I think just a few little changes there would make that a little bit more flowing. Anybody object to that? The next in 4.2, there is after the HR committee at least annually. I think that needs to be deleted. Just to say by the HR committee by the end of October. So again, it's just, sorry, Emma.
Yes, I've got a comment on that. So two things. Firstly, does this then need to be included in the terms of reference to the HR committee, which doesn't do already? I didn't get time to look for the terms of reference, but I think it needs to be in there because it's a responsibility if we agree it. But then I also have a slight concern that the HR committee only meets on a quarterly basis. The meeting this year in October is on the 5th of October. That will almost certainly be too early in the cycle looking at budgets, particularly as we're undertaking a broader review of roles and responsibilities in any case. So I'm just slightly concerned that the HR committee might be doing around the budget for staff for next year when probably the finance officer is still working on it on the 5th of October, but I could be wrong. It then puts an onus on you to have the staffing budget available for discussion on the 5th of October. On the 2nd of October.
I don't necessarily have an issue with it. There are a number of unknowns which come into play here. One of them being that the actual payments are set by the someone.
NJ something.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. And they are this year, or the union this year, are recommending that someone takes action, that they strike for more the pay increase for those members. That's not obviously at this level, but it still filters down because it affects the pay rates. Now, if that takes place in September, which it's been spoken about all the September time, if it takes place in September, the question is, will they have published and agreed pay rates for next year? This year, by that time. So there is a risk that we will be working off estimated costs, but I don't think we can do much else. We can only rework that. And from my point of view, I can prepare the budget by that date. That's not an issue for me. I think we will have to know if we're planning on employing different people or less people and things like that. We will know those decisions by then. It's just really whether or not there's.
Yeah, I think it is a question about the manning and the grades, if there are any changes to the grades that the HR committee has got approval of, because the HR committee doesn't really approve the actual salary base rates that are set externally.
Yes, and that was then going to my point is we have to understand what the role of the HR committee is in the process, what it's being asked to do. Because if that's not clear, or if it's a abstract review, then it's a pointless review. So it's just being clear about what's.
So can we ask the officers to take that away and look at that, please? Okay, thank you. The next one was on 4.5. Again, I think it's just the wording, because we've actually got a kind of spending requests and so forth, and I think it's really should read something like councillors and committees shall review the previous budget and identify any spending requests or amendments type of thing. I just think the wording just didn't sit comfortable.
Sorry, Councillor Green, is this your amendments in red, or are these that you want, or ones that we made? I'm not really clear.
The amendments in 4.5, so each committee has been deleted, and the items in red are what has been put into the 2026 regulation.
Okay. Sorry, so what's wrong with it? Councillors shall review spending requests and submit any proposed amendments to the financial general not later than November. So what's wrong with that?
Well, I think that spending requests and submit any proposed amendments. I think the way it's worked, which I understood was the reason for you updating the regulations, was to reflect the modus operandi that's adopted, whereby the RFO issues out a form asking for spending requests to councillors to be submitted and committees to be submitted by a date. That's what's happened last year.
Yeah, so that's what it says. Council shall review spending requests and submit any proposed amendments to the committee, not so.
But the councillors draft the spending requests.
Well, they do. They submit their pro formas. That's exactly what they do.
Yeah, but it says it shall review.
F&Gp review the spending request. They shall review their spending requests and submit any amendments to the committee.
What I'm going to make suggestions. Councillors shall review their spending requests through the relevant committee. That it's the committee that submits proposed amendments, isn't it?
I think it's councillors submit proposed amendments.
So to make it even simpler, it should read, I think, councillors shall submit any proposed, any spending request to the finance and, well, it actually goes into the town clerk, to the town clerk for the finance and general purposes committee to review, and then just finish off in terms of the timings around that. So I think that's the process. Councillor submits to the town clerk, then goes to F&Gp to review, and then goes forward to the town council.
Yeah, okay.
The next one is on item 5.2, where or 520, sorry, an official order or letter shall be issued for all works or goods above £500 excluding VAT, and this clause has been deleted. Sorry?
Can you clarify why it's been deleted?
Because it doesn't happen.
Because you don't raise a purchase order for a purchase of that sales. that the purchase orders that exist in the purchase order process is for higher items. So if the council has approved that, for example, otherwise effectively, technically, an electricity bill is going to be coming up for approval as a purchase order. Every ongoing expense will fall into that trap. So whereas there is already detailed things produced by now as to how we should process and agree purchase orders, for it to be at £500 is quite extreme for a council of this size. It doesn't affect me, it just means that the work that my colleagues are doing, every single thing will come to one of the committees and it will delay every acquisition. So every piece of work, even though it's within the budget that's already been agreed. So if Julian's got £5,000 to spend on doing nothing outside of this building, he can't do that. He can't do the £500 item or £600 item, even though it's within his budget, without first coming to committee and getting that agreed. So it's whether or not he wants to take on the responsibility for every acquisition that's done, or just the ones which are the high ticket numbers.
Can I look at that?
I think from listen to what the RFO is, the limit of £500 is clearly far too low. If we need, is there a limit that we should be looking at in a bit more detail? And I don't know what that limit is. It's 2,000, 3,000.
It is actually already in there under the purchase order procedure. So where else this has been done to highlight, this has been done to highlight the changes or the errors. There is a section in there on the purchase order procedure that's now have already put in, and it contradicts the £500 limit.
And what does that suggest?
And I can't remember actually.
It doesn't matter, we can do what we want, as long as it's not in bold.
I mean, set the bar at a higher, at a much higher level, at a sensible level for the kind of business we do.
Yeah, so we've got purchases of so much, say for example, £10,000 going to full council. We've got purchases of X amount, I'm making this up as I say. Purchases of so much going to a committee, purchases of so much going to the chair. And so there are already set limits within the purchase order process. And this is just kind of kicking against it.
Extra sentence, really.
So we already, let me be clear then, we already have limits set for a number of purposes. And so therefore you're suggesting, Sophie, that that this £500 is redundant, is that?
Yeah, it's just extra work
Right,
really,
well,
and it's slightly contradictory to the main.
Then let's take it out.
Yeah.
If we've already got other limits.
Sorry, Councillor Pennington.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I had two questions. One similar to Councillor Black, namely, is this a problem actually of the thresholds and so on? Is it simply that the procedure is too onerous for small items? Secondly, I wonder what then, if the whole procedure is abolished, what constitutes the financial commitment of the council? An official letter is a kind of contract. What would replace it in this situation?
Councillor Pennington, 6.7 on the next page, the clerk shall have delegated authority, so that is, I delegate it, but, you know, I talk to Julian and talk to members of the team. Any payments of 3,000, excluding VAT, within an agreed budget. 10,000, excluding VAT, in the case of serious risk to delivery of council service or public safety. So those are the main things.
Can I just confirm, these have not changed very much?
No. These have not changed. These terms are exactly the same. Terms of reference are the same.
We would not be following that £500 process because it's
Scrap it.
Carry on.
Okay, everybody happy with that? The scrap process, all right? Just that everybody is aware, because when these regulations came out in May, we didn't have time to reflect on some of these points. The next item is in section 7, where I've highlighted that the RFO and the town clerk shall be appointed as service administrators. And then what's happened in the sections below, 7.4 and 7.5 and so forth, is the service administrators have been taken out and it's just the RFO. So we've actually got a single point of vulnerability, for want of a better description. If the RFO wasn't available, is somebody trained up to be able to make the payments and work the system?
Yes, I am.
Right, so
7.5, in the prolonged absence of the RFO, another delegated officer shall set up payments due to the return, before the return of the RFO. So the primary responsibility falls to the RFO. Another officer, who would normally be me, will do it in the absence of the RFO.
And we already have that process in
Yes.
place as a documented item.
Standard.
So I go back to 7.1, what's the benefit of deleting, of you not being appointed as a service administrator in the first instance?
It says, I think it says I am, doesn't it? The RFO and the town clerk should be
Appointed, but then it's been deleted at 7.4, 7.5.
I think the thinking was that the primary responsibility should always fall to one person with a backup for somebody else, so that we've got clear division of power.
As long as there are continuity arrangements in place so that, you know, the business can operate.
Yeah, may I say that if it was changed to just service administrator, I could walk away from my responsibility and say, I'm not doing it, and you do it. And then it's really
No, because the service administrator has been defined as the RFO and
And the town clerk.
Yeah, that's how I've got it.
I'll just say another submit then. You've got to, and the alternate, just say the alternate service administrator. That gives you the,
The issue with that is if we have just the other service administrator, what happens if John's broken his leg and is in hospital in traction for 6 weeks and I have flu on the day of payments? That's why we want to have another delegated officer, so that it can be done.
okay.
all right, just as long as we're all aware. Then over the page, the kind of the numbering at 7.7 just falls off the shelf a little bit there. Is everybody happy with the changes under section 9 payment cards?
No, sorry, can I just go back and went through some quickly. 7.12, can we, it says about data held should be checked regularly. That's vague. So could we add in at least every 2 years? So previously was every 2 years. So it should be done regularly, and I assume the inference is it'll be done more often than every 2 years, but I think we still need that rider in there.
Right.
What was I saying?
Or it can be done, yeah, I mean, I'm happy either way, but without some time frame, it means regularly can be interpreted in any way, which way possible.
I think it was changed from the point of view probably of it being too open, too slow.
Yes.
It could take 2 years before you can actually identify the details of what. So it's about making it more of a regular thing, but the wording that we use, so.
Annually?
I don't know, have you found that was probably for itself.
Register checked.
Because that's what you're actually doing every time you check the balance, isn't it?
County test can only change on written. Yeah, I mean, I check.
When I'm doing it, I'm checking every invoice, which is normally what the payment details on. You're doing the same. You're also checking the mandate, so you're also checking it. So we're actually doing it virtually every time the payment's being done.
Yeah.
But I guess there should be a backstop on it. It's not the same.
So what do we want to try and?
An example's come up
Say.
actually just this last month is the fact that the people who look after the hygiene in the toilets have changed their direct debits sometime last year and they haven't told us. And it's an annual payment. So the payment went out and came back. And so we haven't paid them yet as a result of it. And but that wouldn't get picked up probably by an individual, because unless someone's going to go through manually phoning every single supplier, say, these are your details. We do it from the paperwork, and that's what we're checking back to. So it's just really what the wording is, I think is.
So this step is a outside looking in. So changes are made and they get recorded. This is an additional step where you look at the supplier details. For example, if an employee should commit fraud with an outside organisation by moving the payments elsewhere, that won't be spotted unless it's done at whatever point.
So at the moment, in the current process, when invoices are being checked, the bank details of the invoice, and we have the mandate, so we can see it directly. I'm doing it when I'm raising it, you're doing it when you're checking. So it's being done every single payment at the moment, but That's just what the process is now.
So I think this is obviously from now, I think
Yes.
the, so this is suggesting perhaps that we, once every insert timeframe, we ring up every single supplier and say, please can you tell me your bank details? How often do we want to do that?
That wouldn't be allowed, because you cannot get verbal confirmation over the phone, because that could also be a trick as well. If anyone says our bank details have changed, I have to ask them to send it electronically. They do it in reverse order as well. If we send them details, we have to send it electronically. We can't just do it verbally,
So
because...
do we need this sentence at all?
Sorry?
Do we need this sentence at all?
I just think that it's in there, but it's because of the standards. So I think it's probably good to have some sort of visual check. We don't need to be contacted. We can check on the invoices. If you've got an invoice with the payment details on, and as long as everything is checked at least annually, and it's been checked even more than that, then if you've got any question mark saying that I haven't seen the thing for that because it's not on the invoice, I can get you the information for that, or you can contact them directly, but then it just means that you're picking up the ones which are slipping through. Because there will be a few suppliers you don't want to put their details on the invoice. I can think of one plumber that doesn't do it. And so it's it's a good idea every now and then to do that check. So as long as that check's being done at a reasonable timescale, and if we say annually, it just means that if you're not seeing some details for someone, just make the inquiry with me or something, and I'll get the supplier to contact you, or you can contact them, whatever it might be, but they'll have to confirm it in writing.
Okay. Can we move on to the next one? Next one is the payment cards, the credit cards, where kind of the two previous paragraphs have been replaced. Does anybody have any comments on these? My only comment is that it does, in the first sentence, it says a debit card can be used by officers only after authorisation by the RFO or the town clerk. Is this a general authorisation, or is this an authorisation on every occasion?
So, sorry, can I go to speak?
Just want to be clear.
Because I'm most involved in it. So the situation at the moment is that the RFO, as the main administrator on the bank account, is supposed to have the bank card issued in their name.
Right.
So if there is a card which is raised, it has my name on it saying that I'm the person who's authorised to make the payment. I can authorise other people to use that card to make the payments as well. As long as they're told that they can do it, they can make the payment because the order has gone through the other checks. But they're just doing it to obviously speed up the process. Everything is still happening as far as the checking of payments going out of the bank and verification and that side of it, so we can see what's going out and what's being paid for. But it's not changing anything. It's just a limit there. Was it the limit that's been questioned?
No, it's not. It's whether you say to Julian, here's my card, use it when you need it, or here's my card, use it for a specific
If anyone
occasion.
wants to use a card, it's kept in the safe and they ask if they can use the card.
Right.
Some people ask me to actually give it to my hand, even though they might be in the safe somewhere.
Okay.
But that process is taking place at the moment. They will not do anything with the card unless it's been authorised.
We could add authorisation for each specific item.
Yes, perfect, thank you. Any other comments on the credit cards? The final one is item 10, the petty cash section has been deleted. And I understand from the town clerk that this is because you don't hold petty cash. But I struggle because when I look at attachment 5C, the financial cash book, there is an ordinary account petty cash set out there at the top of the page. If you move it in 5C.
In this document?
In the document that we've approved tonight, attachment 5C.
Sorry, thanks. So I know that with, I think what was the reference here to,
Isn't it?
oh, here is the term. So, 15C, it should be, so we are showing £12.30 on there. Now that is just a residual balance that's been there from, I would say, 3 years ago. It's certainly when the system was manual. There is no petty cash operated. So there's £12.30 sitting in the safe, but would you not operate a petty cash system? It's not practical to. We don't like to hand out cash to people and say, go and spend it. There's no need, it's just not appropriate these days, in the same way that in the time that I've been here, I've written one cheque. Cheques are being out, they're being disused by virtually every business. Cash is the same, we just don't operate cash.
I understand that, but like I say, there's this ambiguity in the report, so, we need to either close this petty cash account, monies, bank it, or remove that, or we need
That's a
to
fair argument. We'll
keep
close the petty cash system down, that's not an issue.
Okay. All right, so that concludes all of those changes. So the intent then is that you'll update the financial regulations and bring them to the council. No need to bring them back to this committee, straight to the council. Yeah, everybody happy?
Yeah, propose that.
I'll second that. Everybody agree? Okay. The next item on the agenda is about Monk's Wall Nature Reserve, and to receive a report about the professional fees on this. Town Clerk, do you want to take us through this?
Yes, I'm sorry, this report is not as, there's three elements to it. The first is two items which are renewal of fees. The first one is fairly straightforward. The higher tier agreement is coming to the end of this year. We have had a capital claim of 38,000. We have annual payments of 3,320. Fins will renew, they will resubmit for 5 years for the new higher tier agreement, but they need to get on with it. And it'll take around 3 months. We're in July now, so it needs to be done by the end of the year. So we do need to get on and do that. I double checked with him. It is an annual payment of 10% of the amount. So I should anticipate, which is taken out once we receive the grant. So depending on the precise level of the grant, which at this point we can't know, it could be 320 quid or 370 quid or 380 quid, I don't know. But in that sort of order of cost. So firstly, is the council happy, the committee happy to approve that Finn should get on and renew the higher tier agreement with that fee? So that's the first one. The second one.
Sorry, just on that, can I be clear? It says on the report, historically, there was a capital claim of 38,500. Are we anticipating, so how much are we actually anticipating getting as part of this countrywide steward? Just 3,000 a year? Or
Yes, that's it. Yeah, he said that there's no scope for further capital claims at this time at Munstall, unless we significantly change the nature of the reserve, but that's not a conversation for this meeting at this time. I don't think it's really.
Yeah, because I was just kind of concerned if they were getting 10% of.
Yeah, I did double check
38,000.
that. Yeah, we're not going to be charged 3,200 plus 320 times.
Times 5 years.
I did check it. It's 320 quid or 380 quid or whatever the fee is. I don't know what it will be. It's 10% of whatever the annual thing is, but I don't know what the annual thing is. These grants change all the time.
Okay.
So that's that one. The second one is a little bit more complicated. It slightly arrived out of the blue. I got an email from Julian Sampson on the 29th of June about the renewal of the grazing licence. Historically, before any of the officers here were employed by the council, the grazing licence was paid, his costs were paid for during the BPS, and so therefore it was paid over automatically, and he has not charged anything. However, this year it's been slightly more complicated and involved due to the change in the grazing licence because of the planting of the whips in one of the fields. And so Julian Sampson has asked, I can read the email. He says, I would have charged £220 each, but he didn't. This has been a lot of back and forth. I would have probably had, he says it would have been 440. So he's suggesting to sort of reach a compromise, 500 plus VAT for the last 3 years' work, 2 of which he did not charge at all, 1 of which is 440 plus VAT. And then in going forward, the renewal of the grazing licence will be much more straightforward and we can keep costs down. I think we have to probably budget going forward that we have to allow for 220 a year for the renewal of the grazing licence. But that's for the future. Anyway, at this point, I would recommend to the committee that the F&Gp resolve to pay for professional fees for the countryside stewardship scheme, and then also the renewal of this grazing licence. And those are the first 2 recommendations. The final recommendation is not a recommendation, it's just to sort of flag up to F&Gp committee that I believe there are possibly some financial pressures at Monkswell Nature Reserve. We've got, the income is fairly fixed. We've got the grazing licence and the higher tier agreement. We think it'll be roughly the same, but I don't know at this point. The BPS scheme that we did get sums for has been phased out. We get minor income from the way leave, but it's nothing very much. So we've got combined income of 4.5, and maybe a little bit more, and the warden costs 6 plus a bit, and then he's got a very expensive scheme of works that he's sort of got schedules going forward, and yes, so that, I mean, there is a large reserve in the Monkswell Nature Reserve, but however, you know, I just think there needs to be some mindfulness and oversight of the costs and going forward. But that, I have already raised that with Monkswell Nature Reserve Committee, and we're going to take it to Monkswell in September. So we'll look
So we're
at
just
that.
noting it, and I think we should just leave it there because it's for
Yeah.
the Monkswell Nature Reserve Committee to have the
Yes.
first detailed discussion.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it would be sensible for that committee to give an update, because according to this spending plan, some of the costs are in the past, in last year, 2025. So to really understand where they sit and a cash flow forecast associated with the rundown, so that we understand the risk. Yeah. Sorry, Councillor Penny.
Yes, thank you. I'm on the Monkswell Committee along with Councillor Moorhouse, and I don't recall us having discussed this question in detail. It does reflect some of the discussion that we've had, for instance, in the grazing rights area, but I think it would be good if we could address this a bit more in detail. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Down
No,
to- down to do it in
I flagged it up.
September.
It's for September.
Yeah. My other comment on this is that is Mr. Sampson, if he's retired and he's charging VAT on his fees, or he's semi-retired, you know, it just sticks out to me. Okay, everybody happy to note this report?
We've got,
Well, we've
yeah,
got the,
3 decisions.
Right.
Excuse me.
Okay, thank you.
Please.
Yeah, you're excused.
Excuse me.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Moorhouse. So the first one is to agree to Finn's continuing as the agent for us in this matter. Anybody willing to propose that?
Happy to propose and we pay the fees as identified. Where's that?
Anyone willing to second? Councillor Pennington? Okay, so that's passed. Regarding the grazing licence, this proposal with Mr Sampson, is everybody happy to pay him his fee as per the report? Anybody willing to propose?
I'll propose.
A second.
Yes, let's vote. I think we're all running out of steam.
All right. We'll go with that one.
Slowly melting here. I want to go.
Yeah.
Come on, let's go. Let's get some pace.
And then the third item is to, or the fourth item is to note the budgetary requests. as-
Second. Yeah, good. Very good enough. Excellent.
Okay, thank you very much. So we come to the next item on the agenda, which is an update on the administration of the NatWest Bank account. John, do you want to take us through this?
Yeah, I mean, so I need to, obviously kind of a letter out to, a report out to everyone. Do I need to discuss anything more on it? It's really just an update at the moment. It's a situation that still needs to be finally resolved, but it is in progress now at long last. We did have, I've reported on what the issues were. It was very complicated, and I've suggested that as part of the ongoing review of banking facilities and everything else, that we just that I bring something to the next meeting, which takes it forward, just to advance it. But we are, it is happening. We have got past the first issue, and I know that some of the councillors have already authorised some of the changes that need to be done.
Okay, you've made 4 recommendations. Are we happy to take all of these recommendations as one? Block, yeah.
Want to read them out?
Anybody happy to, you want me to read them out?
Yes, as well. We're confident. Yeah.
Okay, councillors, to note the extreme difficulties we have with the NatWest Bank, including the lack of input a manager has these days. When the process is finished, we will need to look at A, strengthening our banking systems and procedures, B, reviewing our banking partners and providers, and C, looking into restructuring how we bank, how many accounts we need, and to consider operating a number of interest-earning accounts to make dormant or unused funds work and generate some income.
Opposed?
Councillor Wiles,
I'll second that.
Councillor Blight. Approved unanimously. Okay, we move to the assets report, attachment 10. To receive a report from the property manager. Julian, do you want to take us through this, please?
Yes, Chair, how would you like me to do this? Because there's a lot of information, this is a huge document. I mean, this is I could talk hour and a half, 2 hours, and a very long as that.
Short and sweet, Julian, because it's.
Well, everyone's received this document. Everyone has received the review. So could I just take questions on the Chair? Would you like me to go through each property in detail? How would you like to proceed?
Well, it is a detailed report, and I think when it goes to council, it needs to be in a more summarised state at kind of the next time. I've kind of been through it. I've got kind of a couple of kind of comments, because I think you infer that you could potentially sell the drill hall. Is that while the tenant is in, or
Yes.
and so forth?
Yes.
And so forth. So, that is, a major kind of strategic thing that
Yes.
needs to be kind of pointed out. Some of the other buildings, I'm flicking through it, Fishergate, and Boatman's Chapel. I think the scheme, your proposal to demolish Boatman's Chapel again is, highly controversial, and I think, we need to go to the full council.
Yes.
And so forth. And with Fishergate, it's really a question of raising funds and getting
It is.
outside sources of income to pay for the refurbishment.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to note the report. Councillor Wiles, if you wanting to make a comment?
Yeah, it's great the amount of information in this. Well done, Julian, for bringing all this into a report. I think I agree when it comes to council, it needs to be in much more condensed tabular form so that we can see for each property, you know, the terms of the lease, the time, the length of the lease, the gross rental income, the net rental income.
It isn't on there, I have to say.
And also the expenses that we've incurred on the properties, because I think that's the key thing. Some of these assets, not so much on this report, but for the Tollbridge Fund, they're not assets, they're liabilities, because we're spending more on them than we're actually receiving in rent. So we need to be able to see that at a glance.
Yes.
And then to make some kind of assessment of, do we keep it, do we dispose of it, or do we change the terms of the lease, or enforce the lease, or rent review, or whatever it might be in each case. But yeah, it's good to have all this information here.
Thank you. I think Councillor Tuke.
Yes, so I had a question around the action plans that we included. The question is whether these are parallel activities or sequential, because if you take Chapel, but also Cowley's Meadows, two clear examples, they both have 3 years duration. So that, are we saying that if we were to approve the way forward on these, we're looking at a 3-year timeline for conclusion? That sounds...
So I'm looking at the Chapel and I'd say here 6 months, 6 months, 6 months, 6 months.
Yeah.
Not 6 months after, and then another 6 months after.
So
another 6 months.
yeah,
That's within 6 months.
that needs to be called out, because my interpretation could have been, and therefore that's why I'm asking the question, that it's sequential.
No.
And that would have 3 years to do with it.
Oh, no, no.
Yeah, so that means 6 months, 7 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
Councillor Black?
Yeah, I like the idea that you can condense this down, but I think for the amount of detail that Councillor Wiles is asking for, I'm not sure you're going to be able to condense this down very significantly, because that information, 99% of it is already in here. It's just, you've got to plough through something.
I think I guess it would need like a summary to start with, so someone can actually see and go, oh yes, this one, this is how much it is, this is what it is, all on one document so they can see it, and then refer to the report where it gets more information. If I just do all the columns, someone's going to say, oh yeah, but what are you going to do next with it? What are the options? What is the current situation? What is the market? So I think they need to go hand in hand.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So I don't think you lose detail, we must keep the detail. I mean, there are a couple of very, very provocative, rather than controversial, provocative options that we would have to think through very sensibly as a full council about how we take those forward. So if you deal with an asset that you suggest you might want to, and I'm not saying it specifically about Chapel, but any asset you want to either sell or you might want to demolish, we need to consider whether that is just within the council to determine, or whether we maybe need to go out beyond the council.
Yeah, I understand.
I was just really going to add, from having read everything that Julian pulled together, was the fact that I think he's pretty much playing devil's advocate here. He's putting across what the situation is. Obviously, it falls upon the officers, the councillors, to obviously decide what they want to do with what is deemed to be an asset or not an asset. Something that isn't generating income isn't an asset in the same way as a business, is it? But do we need to maintain it because it's something for the town to, whatever it might be. So there's a lot of discussions that probably should take place around that, and it probably starts a discussion. There's an awful lot of work to just start the discussion, but that probably is what has to take place.
Given the level of detail and the emotion and the heat that some of us generate, are you really going to put it into a normal SDC meeting? Because I think you'll run out of time. It'll dominate the whole meeting. There's so much, especially when you take in SDBF and SDC. I do think you might want to think very carefully whether you have an extraordinary meeting or basically it's almost a single item agenda. This is going to take, this will generate a lot of discussion. And some of it, as you say, may be devil's advocate and so on. But I would be surprised if you can do this as a little part of a much bigger meeting. I would ask you to think hard about that and possibly have a separate meeting.
Okay, any other comments? Well, finally, Julian, thanks for doing this. It's long anticipated that we get this strategic review, and I hope this sounding and feedback, the comments that we've made tonight are helpful for you taking it to the next step. And I would invite all councillors, if they've got any other comments, to speak to Julian as he drafts and prepares this detailed report. So, sorry?
If the council wanted to have an EGM, the only available days would be the 28th and the 30th of September. The rest of September is Monday, Wednesday, all the way through.
Well, it's up to Julian. Would you be ready in that?
That would fit in with me. I mean, I've done most of the work.
Yeah.
I haven't done all the work, really. I mean, it's down now to decisions to be made, and options to be, but I understand, you want to see it in a summary, so you can just, a snapshot of what it is, but yeah, that date would definitely work.
I wouldn't want to make that decision just here now and then.
There's a couple of, just to point out, there's a couple of civic duties coming up in September as well for the mayor and myself, as acting town sergeant, so we'll have to look at that for the diary.
Okay, all right, so we'll leave that with the mayor and the town clerk to resolve. So the recommendation is to note this report. I'm happy to propose that. Anyone willing to second?
I'll second it.
Okay, passed unanimously.
I'm very sorry, I'm going to have to leave, so I have to work for 3 morning. I've not eaten and I've got a whole evening with spare tomorrow as well. So, I need my boots to sleep.
Yes.
Okay, so the last item on the agenda is the date and time of next meeting, which is the 23rd of September at 6:30. So with that, I'm going to close the meeting. Thank you, everybody. Great. An hour. That's not too bad, okay?
Yeah.
Are we stopping recording on both? Assuming it's now you.